What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it. Let's not dilly-dally too much. I want to keep this update very brief tonight, right? We did something not ideal yesterday. I was looking for a green close for the day, and we had a red day. The reason why we were looking for a green day is because a red close would solidify this bearish divergence, right? We have a slightly lower high here, that basically a double top, and then we have higher highs here. That is bearish divergence, and technically this bearish divergence would imply that we would move back down to where the divergence started. Oftentimes you do go a little bit through that. Sometimes you fall just shy of hitting where the divergence started, but a significant move down nonetheless. You know, if we throw the fibs on here from a low to a high, it could be anything from 70.2K to 68.2K, maybe even a little bit lower. I wouldn't expect that we go lower than like 67K personally, but that's what this divergence means, okay? There is hope. Sometimes you get these divergences printed and you still overcome it and you continue to grow without having a significant pullback. Sometimes that happens, and that's like a false divergence in a sense, right? But that's not as common, right? The more common thing is that you would probably go back based off of this metric alone. That's what the charts would call for. But there is a little bit of hope, right? And that's what I said in the Discord. There is hope. And the hope is this, right? If we take from and it's more than just this, we'll go over everything, but hold on. Oof. From a high to a low, we hit our 1886, right? If anybody's been watching the channel for a while, you know that I call this the primary extension zone, right? 1272 to the 1618, that's your primary target area. Oftentimes in smaller phases of consolidation, smaller fib retracements, you do expect to see these deeper extensions being hit. Whenever you hit the deeper extensions and you pull back to find support, oftentimes the more common thing is that you would not go below your 1272. That's the more common thing, right? That you would not go below your 1272. If the bearish divergence plays out the way that it should, the more common thing would be that it goes all the way down to about 69K or less. And again, that would be below the 1272. So essentially what I'm getting at is this. We're going to have one of two things happen that is, you know, one thing's going to be common and one thing's going to be uncommon. Either we're going to have the uncommon outcome where we do go below the 1272 and we come down to the 100 and the 886 level. This is a very common level to find support on, but oftentimes when you hit the deeper extensions, right, you don't look to break the 1272. It's only whenever you find resistance in the primary expected zone that you look for this move or something lower, right? So again, pulling back to this area, it can happen. It's just where we found resistance on the fibs, it's not as common to do. So either we're going to do this uncommon thing or we're going to do this uncommon thing where we have bearish divergence printed and we don't see a significant move back down to where the divergence formed and we just continue to build. And it's kind of like a false divergence in that respect. And again, that's pretty uncommon as well. In fact, I would say the false divergence is more of an uncommon thing than this uncommon situation with the fibs would be if we pulled back down there. So if I had to go just based on my own experience, based on the statistics, like going in my head here, I would say that the more likely thing is that we break below this 1272. We probably go to around 69.5, 69,000, 67,000, somewhere in that area. I'm thinking like right around 69K, maybe just below there. I'm still hopeful. I definitely am still hopeful that we'll see new all-time highs by the end of the month. It is crunch time. We have 20 hours and 24 minutes left in the month, so still holding out hopes for that. And the shorter term time frames definitely help with that, right? And I want to be clear because you might hear that and you might be like, didn't you just say that it's more likely that this divergence would play out than this would hold the 1272? Didn't you just say that that'd be more likely? And yes, I would agree that is more likely, okay, based off of these two metrics alone. But if we go to the shorter term time frames, we look at the 1 hour, and I hope that's all making sense. If not, really don't worry about it. It'll be fine. If we look at the 1 hour, we do have dramatically like lower lows. We've been making lower lows here, right? And all we have on the price is higher lows. That is what they call hidden bullish divergence. That tends to mark continuation. Continuation, right? Higher lows, higher highs. We just formed higher lows. Maybe we could continue and form higher highs. We did get a nice little bit of volume here with a nice move, but there was no follow through after that. And that does concern me a little bit that we'd go to the downside. So even on the 1 hour, we have a little bit of confliction going on with what the directional heading could be for the price. But there is more bullish stuff than bearish stuff, I would say, right? Not as much volume to the downside. You are getting volume only apparently whenever it comes to the upside, so that's nice to see. The 1 hour, again, you did bounce off of this like 40 area, an area that you found support around several times, right back here even. You are bouncing off the 50, right? You've had that. So you are in a bullish posturing overall with your 1 hour. Like the 1 hour RSI does look pretty damn bullish in itself. If we look at the 4 hour, there's also a bullish look, a very bullish look, which is where you go from your overbought zone to in your overbought zone to coming back to the line itself and finding support off of that. We have found support off of that. That is confirmed, right? We had one, we're about to have two green candles bounce off of that, right? Two green candles in a row, and that would confirm a bounce in my opinion, and that would be good or at least suggestive of continuation of this move. However, there's a situation where we could, come up here, form some bearish divergence on the 4 hour, and then inevitably follow through with this daily bearish divergence all the way back down to 69K. So there are some hurdles to overcome at the moment. There is hope, especially in the shorter term time frames, to continue to move up rather immediately, right? When I say shorter term, I'm talking about the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frames. These are things, the 1 hour, these are things that come into effect within a day, 2 days time. The 4 hour, these are things that come into effect within like a day to 3 days time, sometimes a little bit more than that, right? So when the 1 hour and the 4 hour are looking bullish, that does, and there are bullish setups on both. I'd say they both look more bullish than they do bearish. That would scream immediate price action to move up. But the trick is we can't stop. We can't really stop in this like 73.5 to 72.5K area. We can't. We have to break through it. We have to continue through it. Even just like a slight prod above this high, even if we got new all-time highs by the end of the month, that'd be cool, right? Then my prediction's right. That's cool for my vanity. But even then, even if we like closed up here or like just slightly higher and we had that bearish divergence still there, that could still inevitably make us move back down to about 69K. So if we want to avoid that, you want to get this continuation. You want to get a nice pop. You want to not just prod above new all-time highs or the previous all-time highs. You want to get some continuation, some serious continuation after that. And I think that would look good if we saw volume starting to come back in, if this thing continued to grow, right? However, on the 4 hour, to make things a little bit less likely to take away some of that hope, this peak right here is at about 89 on the RSI. To negate the bearish divergence, you'd have to go above that, right? You'd have to get the RSI to go above that, and getting into the 90s on any time frame for the RSI is no small order at all. That's a pretty big ask. So we've definitely got some hurdles to go through. There is hope. I think that it'll become more clear by the end of today what we're going to do. At the moment, again, there's a bunch of conflicting things. The shorter term time frames look good, but you have this daily bearish divergence on there. There are some things on the shorter term time frames that also could suggest that we go lower as well. We are on the crypto fear and greed index. We are in levels of extreme greed. So, I suppose today is kind of decision day, right? Are we going to see new all-time highs before the election? Maybe by the end of this month, and prove me right. That'd be nice, but if not, who cares, right? It doesn't really matter. Or are we going to correct probably for about 3 days to a week, maybe even a little bit longer than that, and then start moving up, as some people are predicting, after the election? That's when we would see our all-time highs. And I think that's important to consider, because yesterday's analysis, I was going over this weekly aspect and saying that when we break above all-time highs, normally within a 3 to 4 week period, we see a move that is roughly 40% in growth, okay? And that would only start when we break the all-time highs. I say the all-time high period, I'm sorry, the pre-halving highs. When we break the pre-halving highs in a 3 to 4 week period, we see about, on average, like a 40% growth or something around that, right? That time frame, that clock, that 3 to 4 week clock countdown for a 40% pump in Bitcoin could start this week if we get above this high. But if we find resistance, if the bearish outcomes come into play, if they come into effect, and we can't really get above this, then it might be pushed back a week or even two, right? And then pushing back that $105,000 price target that I made yesterday, that could be, instead of by the end of November, that could be like sometime in the very beginning of December. But either way, right, no matter what, we're definitely in bullish posturings. Things are looking good across the board. Whether we go up right now or we go down first, we form a higher low, and then we go up later, like whatever, it's going to be fine. And there's a lot of logic to both sides right now, and I think today will really help us decide that, right? So yesterday there was a lot more, I would say, bullish leaning stuff. With yesterday's close, the bears got a little bit of momentum, I would say, and that momentum could really pull us back to 69K. So just be aware of that. Don't be scared of that if that happens. I don't really know if I have anything else to say. I feel like I've said everything at least twice. So if that all makes sense to you guys, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm still holding out for that end of the month breaking above all-time highs, but it is looking a little bit less likely today than it has over the past few days. So, time will tell. We'll see how it happens. And again, at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, we got close. We got so close, and it's okay, man. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But I absolutely do not regret making the calls down here that we would see new all-time highs, even if I am wrong, because that call promoted some urgency, right? Not just in myself, but I hope in anybody that was watching this. If you felt the urgency in the beginning of this month, where a lot of people were actually suggesting that October would be a red month, a negative month, and you heard the message and you actually felt the urgency, then you're actually in a good place, whether we're at new all-time highs or not. So I don't feel bad about that call, right? At the end of the day, being right, being wrong, it doesn't matter. It's all about risk management to begin with. You can be right 9 out of 10 times, and that one time you're wrong, you can lose everything. You can be wrong 9 out of 10 times, and that one time you're right, you can make everything back that you've lost and then some, right? So it's not about being right or wrong, right? That is literally true. I'm sure not everybody has this, but traders out there, day traders especially, you know what I'm talking about. You could win 10 trades in a row. You could be on a heater, and then on that 11th trade, you lose everything you made in those 10 trades, and you're also in the negative. Not only did you lose everything you made, but now you're in the red, right? You can be right 10 out of 11 times, and that doesn't mean shit if you don't have proper risk management. It's all about risk management, right? So again, I won't beat myself up too much if we don't see new all-time highs by the end of this month. Just like I'm not gonna be one of those belligerent people. You guys know the types, right? That are like, I told you, I was right. Everybody doubted me, and I was right. And people did doubt me, And I would be excited if we saw new all-time highs by the end of the month. Who doesn't like being right? Who likes being wrong? But it's not about that at the end of the day, right? You'll rarely catch me being like over the moon, crazy excited. I get excited when we're moving up. I don't get so excited about being right. I feel good about myself, but you know what I mean? Enough talk about myself. I think I've said enough. I got all the important stuff out of the way. Now I'm just wasting people's time. So with that, I leave you. If you like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Today, I think will really determine if we see this like little correction back down to about 69K, just below there maybe, and then we move up after the election, or if today and going into next week we will actually start moving up, right? So time will tell. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.